Hi, I'm Sandy Murphy from Sparta. There's Wes Griffin from Sparta sitting right over here, and he swore to me that he would answer any questions you asked about DNSSEC, because that's not my particular focus. I'm here to request feedback about some work that's going on for DNS and routing security. DNSSEC is actually being deployed out there. Sweden has signed its top-level zone, and RIPE is signing its reverse zone and some select forward zones, as well as doing some secure delegations. Dan Massey and Leisha Zhang also told me that some of their graduate students are going out looking for secure zones, and they've run across some 50 or so. They promised to send me a link, but I don't have it quite yet. There's an open working group called the DNSSEC Deployment Initiative that we're involved in and a bunch of other people are involved in. It has an active mailing list. It has regularly scheduled telecons. This is a bunch of DNS experts that are trying to get together and do what's necessary to see DNSSEC deployed. It also has organized some DNSSEC kind of training workshops for hands-on work at various different venues, Apricot and ICANN and places like that. There's a website listed there for giving news and announcements of new workshops. This is a screenshot. There's a technology part of it that lists a pretty detailed roadmap. The working group part here is where you can sign up for the mailing list, and there's operator guidelines, links to NIST and RIPE and our own particular operator guidelines documents. And then events and actions are about these workshops, so that's all across the top on that screen. There's another project, DNSSEC Tools, which is our just pretty much us. Creating tools and patches and plugins for web browsers and such. All the focus is to try to make it easier for people to begin to use DNSSEC, and that's the website. We had just recently had a release of a new tool set. We also have a RPM for Firefox on the client side that will actually check and validate the DNSSEC records that it gets back. So to point out some interesting parts of this website, here's that's the main website, but there's the announcement of the tools being released. And one of the most interesting tools probably, and this just failed. No, it didn't. This is the Zone Signer tool, which is how you sign and maintain a signed zone. There are some, we hope, very detailed documents about how you, step-by-step guides for signing and maintaining a signed zone, interactions between the parent zone and the child zone. And on there are also the usual SourceForge mailing lists provided. And this is on SourceForge, the DNSSEC tools download, and the Firefox RPM down here. Okay, and moving on to securing the routing infrastructure. I'm trying to go through this pretty fast. The routing infrastructure, I've been kind of nagging about this for 10 years or so. It's an important problem. Everybody knows it's an important problem. There have been a multitude of different suggested solutions. None of them have particularly gotten any traction. So there have been 3 workshops held in the last year, inviting the interested parties. The intent is to find an acceptable and deployable solution, get the people who would actually have to be doing that working on it, get something going to move forward to get security at least started. We had service providers, access providers, content providers, vendors, the security research community, the routing research community. DHS was the host and the facilitator. They're not themselves making any suggestions as to what the solution would be. And that's the website where you can go look at the presentations and minutes from those meetings. Now, in those meetings, I think I've said in a couple other places that the strongest call, the theme through all meetings was, it sure would be helpful to have an authenticated list of authorized prefix originators, which ASs are authorized to announce your prefix. And the intent is to use it in however many ways you want to be using such a thing, in responding to customers' requests to route a prefix, in troubleshooting routing problems, exactly who is supposed to be announcing that prefix, in constructing your filters if you want to be constructing filters. But this is also the first step in any of the suggested solutions for protecting BGP. It's the first step that has to be done. So out of the last workshop arose a suggestion that Aaron should begin to collect in all the number templates, allocation and sub-allocation and assignment and such, should begin to have a new field that would collect a list of the ASs allowed to announce that prefix. The intended benefit is this is a procedure that the operators are used to. They're used to filling out the templates. They know they have to fill out the templates for Aaron in order to do new allocations. IRR entries are in the back of everybody's mind, perhaps, but they aren't always done. Hopefully with a field in the template as you're filling it out for another purpose, there'll be more motivation to go ahead and put it in there. But it also inherits the scrutiny that Aaron does on initial allocations and on any authentication that they have with the members to ensure that the requests are coming from the correct people. Furthermore, Aaron is the authority for who is allocated what prefixes. So they are the ones that what you would have to refer to in creating any route object anyway. So speaking of authentication, IRRs that are run by RIRs, and the person who chose those two acronyms really has a lot to answer for. Any of us who have left-right coordination problems can't get those typed properly. But if an IRR is being run by an RIR, then they have internal access to whatever authentication is set up for their members. Non-RIR run IRRs would have to consult the RIRs to find out, how do I authenticate with this person who tells me that they are authorized to run this prefix, to enter a route object for a particular prefix. That's 1 minute?
2 minutes left.
2 minutes left. Easy, last slide. So even the RIR run IRRs would have this problem if they were registering route objects for resources that weren't in their particular domain, for non-member resources. There's also this problem with currency, which we've heard referred to in the recent panics problem. Why don't route objects have a TTL? I don't know. Perhaps it certainly would be good if they did. But in particular for the RIR run IRRs, if a member ceases to keep up on their prefixes, if a prefix is reclaimed or if a prefix is returned, all of the route objects in the IRR should go away. That's okay for the RIR run IRRs, but not so much okay for the others. All of this is intended to solicit, request, beg for, plead, entreat feedback. The DNSSEC tools, pull them out, try them if you're interested in signing a zone, look at the step-by-step guide, see if it's thorough enough for you, if it explains things clearly. Look at the tools, try the client system that actually does the DNSSEC validation. If you're interested in the routing security part, participate on the Aaron PPML list, give feedback to me or to anybody else who's in the Aaron group. And that's the end.
Thank you. 14 seconds to spare.